Welcome back to the High Value Man Conversation. This is episode 22 in the house, and today we are talking about marriage mastery begins here.
Yeah.
So how to have, and Josh is clearly the expert on this one, but how to have a marriage of your dreams, to have the freedom, the excitement, the pursuit, the passion, all those things that you say that you want in the dynamic of your romantic relationship. To master your relationship, you got to understand the basics, and we're going to be talking through the key pieces, which really breaks down to consistency. Before we open up to that, I think we were having a dialogue off conversation where I think is very fruitful to this conversation because part of the mastery means there's going to be failures, there's going to be speed bumps, there's going to be moments when how you show up, your attitude, your effort, your actions are not in alignment with a masterful marriage relationship or even self-presence. So we're going to talk a little bit about that dialogue and then pull it into the teaching today.
I appreciate that. So for everyone listening, this was Aaron and I were just in some conversation in preparation to our time today, and it was certainly not my intent, as I shared, to be sharing with you. But Aaron goes, "Man, that's really good. That'll go with what we're teaching. So like you're going to share that." So yes, sir, I'll share it. And the reason why I feel that way is this is an episode that happened in my home last night. Solid 15 hours ago. This is what we went through. So as a lot of you know, I've got a newborn, 2-month-old in our house. We've got a lot going on with our businesses and of course with figuring out and navigating our schedule with our 2 kids and everything that is going on. And so last night I found myself in a complete funk.
A funk. As
in I use these words lightly, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Like I was being a complete fart in my house. A toot, as my wife would call it. My attitude was completely sour, and how I was showing up and the who that I was showing up as was just weak and amateur. It was my wife equates it to she thought she was having a conversation with a teenage boy, just because of how distant I was, how short my answers were, how unhelpful I was, and just literally like Eeyore walking around with my tail tucked, thinking, oh, the whole world is just sucking right now.
Yeah, but I think that's so out of character for you, and which is I think so powerful for this story, because I know that a lot of guys, that's kind of the standard routine. They get home, they're frustrated, they're pissed off, they're angry, they didn't get the sleep they wanted, they didn't get their things done, the work didn't go that they wanted, and then they've got their own to-do list at home, and so they just end up being a fart. What's the other colorful language you use for that?
I was being a toot.
A Richard.
Oh, I was being a Richard.
A Richard.
Yeah, my wife married a Josh, but last night I showed up as Richard.
Okay, I love that. You guys get the language.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And what I think was so cool about Josh sharing this story is the steps that he took that we're going to dive into in regards to how to actually have a masterful relationship. But he took specific steps once he had the awareness and recognition that how he was showing up was not in alignment with who he wanted to be or the type of marriage he wants to have.
Yep. So last night, or yesterday afternoon rather, I was tending to our 2-month-old son, who is in a developmental leap right now, where it's very difficult at all to help him feel appeased or to be happy. So typically, he's only upset when he's hungry, or he has a tooth that needs to be pushed out, or he's been wearing a wet diaper for too long. Well, that's not the case in this very short developmental season. Basically, even when he is fed and he is what would make him happy, about every 15 to 30 seconds, he just needs a physical adjustment, which means I can hold him for 15 to 30 seconds before he gets upset, and then I've got to shift him around, hold him in the front, facing forward, hold him on his back, flip him over to his belly. So he just takes a lot of attention in this current season, which is about a 1.5 to 2 week long developmental leap. Well, last night I was tending to my son, and there was nothing that I felt like I could do to make him happy. While at the same time, my wife is in the kitchen cooking up a dinner from scratch because we're clean eating. And so she was doing that for us, and I was tending to our son, and I could not make him happy. And I felt myself shift in that moment, going from where I thought I was as normal to just completely frustrated with my 2-month-old son, which is very out of characteristic for me. I don't typically get, even in the midst of frustration, I'm able to process that, integrate that, and move on and show up well in most areas of my life. Well, in this moment, I just felt myself in a funk where I told my wife, I'm frustrated with him, come get him from me. Very uncharacteristic. I also had no desire to help her in the kitchen or do anything else. What I wanted to do was I wanted to lay down, take a nap, or maybe even just go to sleep for the day. And this is maybe 5:30 in the afternoon, very, very early. And all of these things just very uncharacteristic of who I am and how I roll. And I was able to quickly realize, man, this is like I'm in a funk, and this is not okay. And so I took time to take stock of how I felt. Comes down to, because we're clean eating, I'm a habitual sugar intaker, and so I've been off sugar for several days. Also, with this developmental leap, my sleep quality and sleep length has been cut in half. So, like my sleep 2 nights ago on a scale of 1 to 100 was a 39. Very poor sleep. Also, the what's going on in my brain because I'm not really eating sugar anymore. So all these things lead up to this moment where I'm just being a complete Richard in my household. My wife knows it. I know it. And so I come to this realization, and I know and I believe, it's something we talk about, that my attitude is something I can actually control. And my attitude was very sour last night. And so what I did is I took my son, he needed a diaper change, took him back to his room where I was kind of partially secluded, and I'm changing him. And as I'm doing that, I grab my phone. I'm part of a group of men that I love and can help hold me accountable. So I just reached out and said, hey, listen, in all transparency, I'm being complete fart right now.